I came to the UK with my family when I was 4 years old, just about to turn four.
Mhm.
And to be honest, we moved around quite a lot. We lived in Bedford for a while, and then my family moved to Somerset just to follow kind of like work. They worked in factories and warehouses, and there was a lot of work in Somerset to them. So I grew up most of my child to like teenage life in Somerset.
Where in Somerset?
Where there's not in Bridgewater,
Yeah.
a town called Bridgewater, Somerset. And to be honest, it wasn't like those years that I lived there, especially in the town that I was in. We were kind of the only Albanian family that we knew of in that area. So I grew up in a very kind of like English focused place. It wasn't very multicultural whatsoever. And then when it came time for me to go to university, I thought I want to live in a city. I want to live somewhere that's got a lot more going on, because my town was just so small and there was nothing really to it. So I moved to Nottingham, and that's where I studied. And it was such a culture shock. I just didn't realize England had so much to offer in terms of diversity. It was the place I got to make so many friends from different backgrounds, different cultures. And that was just a real eye opener. And especially in terms of like food and cooking as well, because in my little town, there was like an Italian restaurant, an Indian restaurant. That's pretty much it. Whereas Nottingham has such a diverse food scene that it really was the first time I got to try a lot of cuisines that I never really experienced growing up. And then obviously when I was a student, I got a job as like just like a little part-time job as a waitress. I worked at Rub Smokehouse, like this kind of American style smokehouse area. And then I stayed there for a bit, and then I moved and I was a waitress at Rev de Cuba, which is like a really fun, like cocktail, Cuban food, really vibrant place. So that was like my first kind of like, I want to say like a little dabble into the food industry, because you really do get involved with like the menu and understanding the flavors that we were offering customers. But then obviously uni was up. My time being a waitress was up, and I had to kind of find my big girl job after uni. So I kind of started hunting for more kind of corporate avenues. And that's when I got my job. My first kind of like job was just a generic customer complaints handler for like a credit card company. And then I always had ambitions, because I studied law and I did masters in corporate and insolvency law. So I always had this mentality that I was going to work in financial crime. So as soon as I got my first kind of corporate job, I was like, okay, I'm going to work my way up here and try and get to where I want to be. So that's where I ended up being the money laundering investigator that I am now. And then I just put cooking to the side for so long. I was just so focused on career and working and getting myself set up in life, that it really was on the back of my mind. It was just something I did to feed myself, nothing more. And then as soon as I got a bit settled, I guess, in the corporate world, I was like, okay, I'm pretty comfortable now. I'm pretty happy with what I've achieved. I feel like now it's time to kind of explore my like inner passions a bit more. And I would always post food on my social media, on my personal account, what I was making for dinner. And people would always reply to me being like, this is insane. Like, how did you do that? Show us how to make it. And I was like, you know what, maybe I could do that. So that's when I opened like my TikTok and my Instagram pages. And I would constantly be posting videos, not very consistently, I must admit. I feel like I could have been a lot more consistent with it. But it was just still something I did on the side. It wasn't any income for me. So it was just something that I did as a hobby. And then as soon as I really started getting a bit more traction on my pages, I started to think to myself, maybe I am quite good at cooking. Maybe I could actually do something with this. And I was just watching MasterChef one day, and it was on the back of me launching my Instagram. And I was watching some of the dishes they were cooking, and I thought to myself, I know I can make that. Like, I could make it. I was like, I could do better, actually. And I was like a moment of confidence that just caused me to like, it had an advert at the end of the show that I was watching saying, apply for next year's MasterChef. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do that. So yeah, absolutely. And that was the start of everything, I guess.